Hello everybody, today we're going to talk about B-roll. B-roll, for those of you that don't know, is the also-ran footage that supports the narrative. So the narrative could be called A-roll if you like, that's the main story and structure. The B-roll is all of the other bits and pieces that is shot to support the narrative. Absolutely vital for good storytelling. I'm Andrew St Pierre White and I'm a global adventure travel filmmaker. Follow along as I share my hard-learned lessons in storytelling, videography and photography. So there's 2 pointers. That introduction sequence, it's one of my favorites actually, that I've done, introduces a motoring show. We took a vehicle through the deserts of Oman, and it was the first time that I had shot in that interesting country, and I wanted to demonstrate to the viewer straight off that it was A, about motoring, B, we were in an Arabian country, and wanted to present to the audience the flavors of the Orient. This is Dubai, with its spirited combination of the ultra-modern and a past as old as human history itself. I'm here by invitation. The brief is bring your toothbrush and your driver's license and we will look after everything else. And come and drive something amazing in an astounding place. That was good enough for me. What they didn't tell me was what vehicle would they give me to drive. And I remember we were actually, at the time, we had been shooting a lot during the day in the city, and those shots actually occur a little later in the film. And it was getting late in the afternoon, and our guide had been suggested a restaurant. We were going to have some local cuisine, and I saw on the beach, a little bit of a distance, guys on the camels, and there were tourists around, but there were camels, and the sun was going down. I thought, camel sun. You must remember that mostly B-roll is shot on the hoof. It's just, you see it and you just, and you keep your eyes up and you go and find it. And at that time, of course, when seeing the opportunity and seeing the sun and seeing the camels, I had no idea where that footage would appear in the film. Don't think it has to have a place in your head and a place in the film for you not to need it. B-roll is the essence of good storytelling, because it means that you can have, if you need to have a narrator explaining something, you have footage for that. If you have somebody talking to camera and you want to keep it short, because lots of face to camera can be tedious, much better to show than tell. That's a principle of storytelling. It's much better to show something than tell something. If you can do both with narration and B-roll, wow, that's the way to do it. And this demonstrates very, very nicely how well the B-roll worked. There are 2 shots in there that are A-roll, were actually shot as part of the main shoot, and those were the vehicle shots, because we went later to go and fetch collect a vehicle, and I wanted to get a whole lot of different vehicle shots, and then finally we have our vehicle delivered to us. That's not really B-roll, or there is a bit of a grey area, obviously. But the fact is that those shots were used in this sequence because it's a motoring show. So the opening sequence had to say, interesting country, interesting place, Middle East, it's about cars. And that's what that opening does. And as you can see, it's mostly B-roll. Little later on in the film, I'm taken down through a market. Now the market again was, the market scene was, we decided to go to the market because it was more local flavour. It's not really part of the motoring story, it's part of the local flavour story. And I had a guide, and you'll see some very obvious B-roll shots. Take a look.
This is my host, Sean Mayer. A bit of a surprise, South African, expat, been living here for well over a decade. And he's taken over as director, producer, doing a good job at it too.
So I see there are two. There's the top and then there's the scarf.
So actually, it's the same, right? So this is Saudi, typically, and this is Jordanian with the tassels at the bottom. So typically you'd only be wearing the one, and in a sandstorm you would cover up the face.
We spent a day filming in Dubai, a couple of little sequences. Again, many of them were not scripted. We had some ideas for them before we went in. And then, of course, this kind of filming is wonderful because things are just kind of present themselves and one has to take advantage of them while you're actually shooting. So B-roll is very much it's got to be constantly running in your head. And as a director, cameraman, camera person, you're always looking for those bits of detail to puff up, pump up, embellish the story. That's what B-roll is very, very good at. In this sequence, I was now waiting for the vehicle to arrive, and I wanted to build up a little bit of tension in the story because I didn't know what it was going to be. And so again, in the story, in terms of storytelling, building tension is great because it keeps your audience involved. Again, B-roll embellishes that. So by getting, you'll see here, I'm waiting for this vehicle, this whatever is going to be given to me. I have no idea, but I keep getting shots of this really old tatty Land Cruiser. So there was a bit of a counterpoint there, and I wanted to try, I don't know if it works, I think it kind of does in a way. It kind of works that they do have in their inventory some very, very old tatty Land Cruisers. Maybe they'll give me one of those instead of something, fancy that I'm hoping for. I think it's a nice sequence. Take a look. Can I have a look around?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. We're proud to show.
The vehicle's on its way. Because I don't know what they're going to give me. I mean, they've told me it's not off the shelf. And they've said that they're very confident that I'm going to love it. But is it a Jeep? Is it a Land Cruiser? I know a little bit about the Arabs and the way they like to modify their vehicles, and they really sometimes go so over the top. It's just unbelievable, some of the creations they come up with in these countries. I have no idea what I'm going to get. In fact, I'm too scared to guess.
Oh well, while I wait, I guess it's time to look at some of the accessories they produce, and of course these delicious old Land Cruisers.
This Land Cruiser is believed to be the only 1958 original, unmodified Land Cruiser of its type that is still running today. And why it's significant to me is that this green was originally done for the military and only available to the public in the 1960s. Those few examples, I think, is a good start in understanding how important B-roll is. In the next video, I'm going to talk about equipment. What equipment is the best for those B-roll shots, particularly those B-roll shots that you have to capture on the run. And of course, B-roll audio is every bit as important as B-roll video. Thank you for watching. See you next time.